from your grave.
All right, this is Darker Days Radio, episode number 65. I am one of your hosts, Mike, and tonight I'm joined by Chris.
Hello.
And also joining us here is, of course, Matt. How's it going, Matt?
It's going all right.
Good. And not joining us, but helping us out with a lot of press information straight from Gencon is, of course, Bryce Perry, or Sand Chigger. He's been feeding us information on many World of Darkness topics coming out at Gencon, and he just got on a plane, and he's finally heading back to Texas. So sounds like he had a good time, and we've got quite a bit to talk about here on this episode. But before we get started with that, of course, we need to check on how everyone's gaming has been. So, Chris, what have you been doing lately?
Let's see. So one of our co-hosts, sometimes co-hosts, James, he visited since I've been back in the UK. So played some hybrid and got him into playing Guild Ball, and he went home with 2 teams, and I'd already bought him another one for his birthday. So that was good fun. And played some more War Machine and Hordes. Lost that game. It was a very kind of it was one of those kind of losses where either I would have won outright or I lost, outright. So it was because, cast to kill versus winning completely on victory points, and they got the cast to kill on me. So, good fun. Otherwise, I think we're getting quite close to getting our gaming group together. So we had a housewarming party, and quite a few people from work are complete gaming nerds. So setting up an RPG group is going to be easy.
Nice. Good to hear. And Matt, what's been going on with you?
Honestly, I have not had much gaming going on lately. I've been steadily increasing my collection of Warm Hordes books, but other than that, I haven't really done much.
Nice. Any specific factions that you've been really excited about lately, or any of the new stuff that's coming out?
Well, I've been thinking of what I would want to run in the theoretical future once I actually do get into a situation where I can play the game, and it's a toss-up between Epic Zerkova or the new Cro-Mag that just got announced.
Epic Zerkova is really cool.
Yeah, Epic Zerkova seems cool. It's one of those things where I'm not really sure how powerful, I'm reasonably certain that her feet turn is going to be ridiculous, but it's just one of the things where I have not had enough experience with the game to be able to tell that for certain.
If you say, so obviously her theme course, you can take Alexia, can't you? P. Alexia, so that's Alexia Siano with her undead.
Yeah, you can.
So,
that's what I was planning on doing, was taking her with her theme, with her troop of undead, and then theoretically using Zerkova's feet turn to just have her, oh, look, 2 people died. Well, I'll just put 2 new skeletons right behind your force, and oh, look, they're now risen knights. And you're dead.
That's pretty much it, yeah. And then also if you take, say, I mean, it's pretty obvious what type of things you've got to take. You've got to take, Grey Lords galore. So if you take, Grey Lords Outriders, who are the horseback Grey Lords that do magic. So they're kind of like Tempest Blazers. And if you take is it Turnian, who are just a 3-man unit of Grey Lord magic users?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. And of course you've got Doom Reavers in there, and Bad Santa, so that's the Grey Lord.
Yeah, the Colden Lord. Colden Lord.
So he's a Jack Marshall. So again, he can free up.
Right, but the thing that I noticed about Zerkova, the thing that I read about Zerkova is basically you take the one Jack that you have to take, and otherwise your force is going to be filled entirely with Doom Reavers and Grey Lords.
I would actually take the Grey Lords solos and have them Jack Marshall. That way you've got you've got some jacks which still give you some efficiency on focus. There is a problem with that army though. It will suffer a lot against a P Hexerus army.
Yeah.
Because as you're doing spells, you're going to get hurt, and God forbid you go up if the feat turn. Your feat turn is going to be screwed if the opponent's got Orin Midwinter, who's a mercenary and Scorn minion, allied unit you can take, and he can basically cause no magic or animus to be used within 12 inches of him. And he can do that every turn, so he can really mess up our feet.
Right, but like the thing I was noticing when I was like I said, it was either him or her, or they announced a new epic Chromag, the Ravager.
He's quite cool.
Who has the Apocalypse axe that one Trollkin guy has?
Yeah, the World Ender.
He stole it from him somehow.
Yeah, I'm interested in the plot for that. How Madrak lost his axe.
Yeah.
But,
That's kind of curious to me as well.
Obviously, the biggest thing that's turned up, which I really want for my Scorn army, is I want to see how good the Hydra will be. Because Mike, that Hydra is pretty wicked looking, right?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
model.
You got the War Mammoth or the Hydra. So, and Prohibitive Press has brought, as always, to Gencon their kind of A game, because there's tons of cool stuff out. So, yeah, cool. Yeah, War Machine Hordes is kind of other thing. I feel sorry for people that tune into this, because we always start the show with, what have we been doing? Playing war games.
It's like, hey, yeah. So what have you been doing this week? Let's talk for about 50 minutes about something that isn't the World of Darkness.
In all fairness to me, I've moved country and I need to get a new roleplay group together. So I will be talking about RPGs again. It mostly is going to be Fading Suns first before I get into any World of Darkness. But I think with the gaming group, I can get them into... I think Geist will be a fairly easy sell, and I can run my Geist Chronicle finally.
Nice. Yeah, so for me, have been playing some RPGs. Of course, the long-running D&D game, D&D 5th edition game that I've been playing in is still going strong. I actually ran some D&D as well for a separate group, and that turned out very well. Using the 5th edition system, we actually played without any maps or mats. So we were just going through and kind of playing in Imagination Land for all the combat, which worked out very well. That was pretty fun. And finally, I did get one session of Exalted in. And guys, I think I'm done with Exalted. I just can't. I can't deal with the system anymore. I might have to cancel the game because it's just that bad. So what happened last time was. Yeah, it's Exalted 2nd Edition, and we were running. I designed this combat and everything. Thought it'd be kind of decent, kind of balanced, and then we found out that this demon that one of the Solar Exalted had summoned, called a Blood Ape, could in one round attack 12 times with significant strength and damage in just a 4-second tick. And that just ended the entire encounter. And that's something that an Solar Exalted with 6 experience points can do. And that one Solar Exalted could actually have 365 of these guys at once.
Yeah. We can only hope that 3rd edition just doesn't have rules that are so clunky that you can't run combat in a meaningful way.
Exactly. Or just, some semblance of balance at lower power levels might be good. I don't know. But overall, I think what I'm going to have to do is I'm just done with this rule set. I'm just not going to deal with it anymore. So I might have to cancel the game and try to get people to move on to something else. Definitely there's a lot of people in the group that like vampires, so maybe I'll just run some Vampire the Masquerade or Dark Ages Vampire. So we'll see. I mean,
if you want to run some epic fantasy, just get them to play Iron Kingdoms. Yeah, you can play some really stupid characters in that, like ridiculously powerful. It's the same kind of over-the-top gonzo insane fantasy. It's a rule set that you know that works, and it's definitely fairly rapid.
Yeah, no, it's a fast and pretty well-designed game system overall. Balance isn't a significant issue with it, and of course, balance. There's always going to be imbalance in a role-playing game, and that's fine. I understand that, but I don't think I really want to run Iron Kingdoms specifically because it's such a combat focused system. I think I'd want to stick to something with like Storyteller and the like. So Vampire seems like it might be good. But anyway, I think that's just about it for what we've been doing lately. We'll save all discussion of Warhammer Age of Sigmar for next episode. Because I think we've given people enough wargaming. Yeah, we've discussed wargaming enough this episode, so I think it's time to move on over to the Darker Days contest. So we have a contest going on, and everyone should enter. The question is, what supernatural type is Matt? Pretty simple. And you can just email your answer over to darkerdaysradio@gmail.com. And if you win, you could get, and there's going to be multiple winners, a copy of Time of Judgment, a copy of World of Darkness Mafia, a copy of World of Darkness 2nd Edition, a copy of World of Darkness Sorcerer. I think there's an extra copy of World of Darkness Midnight Circus, and maybe a couple other things. And right now, we only have 4 submissions. That's it. And we have definitely more than 4 prizes, so things are looking pretty good for people. But if you want to get in on it, just send us an email, and we will announce the winners next episode. Cool. And I think with that, let's move on over to a little World of Darkness news. This episode, we're going to have tons of news. Pretty much talk about new books, future books, and all the like. So, what has come out since last episode? From Onyx Path, we found the Avarice Chronicles collection. This is for Mummy the Curse, and it's actually a compilation of the different chronicle adventures that were in the back of all of the Mummy the Curse source books. So they just put it in one place if you're just interested in getting that adventure material and not purchasing the individual source books. So that's pretty cool, and people should definitely check it out. We also have the newest Werewolf the Apocalypse novel, which is called Poison Tree by Mike Lee, who's a very well-known author of multiple World of Darkness books. Specifically, he was developer for Demon the Fallen, and he also did quite a bit of work for Black Library on Warhammer Fantasy and Warhammer 40,000 novels. So that should be a pretty cool thing to check out. We've also got, for V20, Dread Names Red List, which is the update to the Kindred Most Wanted sourcebook for V20. It's a pretty cool one. I've been flipping through it a little bit, and it does have some new ideas and playstyles for using the Alistairs or the Camarilla in your Vampire the Masquerade games. Finally, we've got V20 Dark Ages out for people that did not back the Kickstarter. It's finally out in POD, etc., so people can check that out. It's a good book. I liked it, and it's pretty cool stuff. And we also have the Demon Translation Guide, which allows you to kind of switch around rules between Demon the Fallen and Demon the Descent. I've not checked this out yet, but it seems interesting, and those two games are rather divergent, so I'm kind of curious how they get all the rules to mesh together.
It is a weird one. Perhaps the weirdest potential translation guide there is going. So
right, because the way that descent demons and fallen demons work is just completely different. So, like, they converted all of the descent powers into embeds, and it works. It's just really weird. I've read through some of it.
I guess the translation guide means, so you're saying that they've translated, they've used the demon, the descent basis for the way the powers work. But
well, it goes both ways. It's
of course.
To determine how to port descent demons into Fallen's system, but it's not really you have descent demon and fallen demons interacting in any meaningful way.
Yeah. But then, am I right in thinking when you'll use, essentially, through the translation guide, because you can play as a fallen demon, using the 2nd edition New World of Darkness rule set, does that mean it gives you some way, they use the embed and exploit system to run the fallen style powers, but I guess they've mixed up how you use a cipher, because obviously a cipher makes no sense for a fallen type demon.
I have no idea. I didn't read about that.
That's one to have a look at. It could be interesting, actually, because if you think about it, because Fallen and Descent-style demons are so different, because before we had all this, we've got in New World of Darkness, we have the really great book, which is Inferno, which is Vice-based demons. Now, that means if you use Fallen, use Demon the Descent as the engine that you run them, having literally now 3 or so types of demons that you could use in New World of Darkness, like, because they're so different, Descent versus Fallen style demons could be a really interesting clash of philosophies and, metaphysics.
Isn't there like a sidebar in one of the Hunter books? It's like when someone mentions demons, it's like, which one are you talking about? There's so many.
Pretty much. That's pretty much in Inferno as well, because you've got demons could be like the male Jinn, which are the evil spirits in the Hissel in Werewolf the Forsaken. Then you've got the Quishilim and the type of the chaos causing versions of them. So they look like angels, or they could be more like demons. Then you've got the Strix that come from their own little weird pocket reality, and they're kind of demonic-like. It's really complicated in New World of Darkness. Saying demon means the word demon has a multitude of different connotations.
Nice. All right, cool. And that's it for new books that I found, but is there anything else you guys want to discuss for World of Darkness news, or should we save the rest of that for our mega Onyx Path schedule review?
It's the thing we do every year, so I think we should crack on with it.
All right, right on. So before we get into that review, I think it's time to talk about a little secret frequency.
It's under the stairs. I love my mom.
In 1996, journalist and aircraft enthusiast William Thomas noticed something different about Air Force aircraft he photographed in flight. The usual condensation trails, or contrails, left by the aircraft's wake by the ailerons began to form wider patterns than usual, and sometimes appeared discolored and distorted. In fact, he began to notice that the trails would persist longer than those of commercial aircraft. This may have just meant improvements to aircraft technology, but William decided to investigate further. It didn't take him long to find a number of theoretical papers from the 1980s referencing the manipulation of climate and weather with chemicals to aid combat scenarios. In particular, investigation led to a damning USAF white paper called Force Multiplier, Owning the Weather in 2025. It appeared that government agencies were testing chemical dispersion during aircraft flybys, leaving a noticeable chemtrail in their wake. Evidence of the chemicals within chemtrails is admittedly hard to gather. Geoengineering and climatology papers seem to indicate that heavy metals like barium, thorium, and silicon, and also aluminum salts, could be dispersed to affect greenhouse gases and block radiation in the ionosphere. Other theories claim that the U.S. Air Force is seeding the upper atmosphere with electrically conductive material for use with weapons in the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program, or HAARP. Finally, conspiracy theorists claim that the U.S. government is spraying the populace with chemicals for population control. The U.S. Air Force and NOAA have routinely denied the existence of chemtrails, stating that they are simply the long-lasting condensation. However, in the world of darkness, this is certainly not the case. Chemtrails and conspiracy theories in general are very much at home amongst the globe-spanning organizations of the classic world of darkness. In Mage the Ascension and Werewolf the Apocalypse, the Technocracy and Pentex, respectively, are great antagonists to use for chemtrails on the general populace. Pentex chemicals may have adverse mutation effects, while the technocrats may merely be using civilian and military aircraft to distribute nanites across the globe. Conspiracy theories such as this can work great for local level and small sourcebook games like Project Twilight. Imagine a Special Affairs Division team trying to investigate and stop the use of chemicals in a military installation where they're surely not welcome. Of course, chemtrails needn't to be so mundane. What if their wake indicates some resonance in the Shadowlands? Perhaps there's a mirror relic plane in the Shadowlands, or maybe a group of specters closely follow the plane. In the New World of Darkness, the idea of chemtrails as a supernatural disturbance provides challenging conflicts for both werewolves and mages. How can the Uratha stabilize their territory when planes fly overhead, wreaking chaos on the spirit world? Does the pack need to shut down the entire local airport, or can they figure out something else? If mages realize that airplanes are literally cutting into the gauntlet, how can they heal it at altitude 30,000 feet? So, there you go, guys. Another conspiracy theory for you. How do you think this could be used in the world of darkness?
It's clearly a god machine plot.
Yes.
I mean, come on.
Oh, yeah. Sure. Of course.
I was going to go. I mean, let's start with. I was going to start with technocracy. So the technocracy. So kind of like it's a shielding thing for the Avatar storm. So it's a way to prevent it or stop it happening, or to shut off Earth from the Umbra. Yeah, with the God Machine one, it's interesting. I mean, with all the patterns, it's almost kind of like ley lines up in the atmosphere.
Interesting.
With the way they crisscross. So it could be some techno-geomantric kind of sigil enables the God Machine to bring onto this plane more of his angels. For Mage, perhaps it's all the work of the Exarchs. It's always the work of the Exarchs, but you know, these are their command and control, perhaps the work of who would I say it's the work of? It's mostly the work of something like the Panopticon in New Order Darkness. Let's see, what else is there? Don't have any other ideas off the top of my head. I think that's the most immediate ones.
No, I think it's pretty good. Admittedly, conspiracy theories are pretty tough to use in the world of darkness because so many of the games are very, grounded at local levels. So it's kind of tough to have this globe-trotting, globe-spanning conspiracy that your player characters can effectively combat. So that's kind of one thing I was thinking about as I was going over this.
I think for World of Darkness, the whole chemtrails conspiracy, it's just too as a conspiracy, it's too mundane conspiracy and too ridiculous, because of course it's the suggestion that however many thousand aircraft pilots around the world are involved in this global conspiracy to pollute the atmosphere for some sort of terraforming kind of action. I mean, if you really want to go for it, then let's go for it. Let's just say what's the name of the aliens from Age the Ascension?
I don't even remember.
You know the ones we're talking about, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Let's go. And they rear their ugly heads in the Ascension book, the last book of Age the Ascension. So let's go with them and say that they kidnapped, replaced, pod people style, all the aircraft pilots ever that are flying aircraft for say just normal public use aircraft, yeah. And they're for what TV series? I think it was called Invaders. And yeah, they're terraforming they're changing the atmosphere to make the atmosphere more usable by these trans-dimensional umbral beings, which are aliens from the outer darkness. Let's go with that.
So basically Pacific Rim without, the giant robots fighting kaiju.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
It could work. Yeah, so I think that's it for this Secret Frequencies. So let's move on over to that review.
Topics of highbrow storytelling.
Alright guys, as usual, with Gencon, Onyx Path has released their, publishing brochure and talking about what's going on with the company, drumming up some interest in upcoming products, and it should be good. Kind of cool thing for us to review and kind of give our commentary on, let you know what we're most excited about. So as we're going through here, we're going to focus on the things that are coming soon, not things that are listed as available, just to kind of streamline things a little bit and make sure we're talking about the new announcements and the like. You might recognize that some of these have been on the list since last year, and that's what happens. Development cycles can be a little slow, and Onyx Path doesn't really rush things in the way that White Wolf sometimes used to. So that's pretty good for giving us a quality book and some great ideas that are well thought out, and it should be good. So going through, of course, there's a nice page-long note from Rich Thomas talking about what Onyx Path is, what they're trying to do, and their focus on the POD and PDF model for distributing books, as opposed to the traditional distributor system that's used by some companies still. And, just kind of giving us a quick explanation, and then move on to the 32-page listing of all the cool products. And I gotta say, this is a very nice, well put together little brochure. It's got a lot of artwork in it and some pretty good layout. So, good on them for making this nice little free thing for a lot of people at Gencon. And you can pick it up as well if you go over to DriveThruRPG and check out the Onyx Path section. It should be right there for you to review at your leisure.
I think normally we get a physical copy of this when our Kickstarter rewards come through. So I think I got one of the last year's one with Demon, wasn't it? I think so.
Oh right, yeah. I remember getting one of those.
Yeah, hopefully I'll get a physical copy with the first thing on the list here.
Yeah, absolutely. So, of course, first up is Beast the Primordial, and it lists 2 upcoming books, which may be of interest. Quite simply, it's the Beast Player's Guide, which has a lot of player-focused options, new cool powers in the forms of atavisms and nightmares, more detail on layers, and information on building a legend. So, should be pretty good. This is one of the typical books that we see for most of the new game lines. There's usually a player's guide, and then, of course, the next thing coming up, a storyteller's guide, which has some cool setting hacks and crossover ideas for other game lines, and expanded information on the Beast's inheritance.
That should be interesting to how it deals with the crossover in there. To have a book which perhaps more extensively deals with that topic, given Beast is meant to be crossover friendly. Yeah, that'll be an interesting book to get hold of.
Indeed, indeed. So, in addition to that, for World of Darkness 2nd Edition, we of course have a World of Darkness 2nd Edition core book coming out at some point. I believe there was an option to buy it with, definitely with Beast the Primordial in that Kickstarter.
Yeah.
And I think maybe for Dark Eras as well.
I think with Dark Eras as well, yeah.
Yeah, so that should be coming out pretty soon, at least before Dark Eras is printed, which should be in the next couple months that we'll be seeing that. And in addition to that, kind of packaged with it is, of course, World of Darkness Hurt Locker, which I believe is being developed by David Hill.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of an update to the old Armory books, but focused a bit more on storytelling and how to kind of run street-level games, combat along with those. So I think it's going to be pretty good. And yeah, I mean, if you're going to give kind of story-focused gaming to someone that's on the World of Darkness staff, David Hill is usually one of the best guys to do that with.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, and then next up, I mean, this is already Kickstarter done, is World of Darkness Dark Eras, which is a big grab bag book because it gives us multiple chapters which are different eras for different game lines. So, for example, setting Vampire the Requiem during the Elizabethan times, Werewolf the Forsaken setting, I think that's 1970s New York. Mage the Awakening to the Strongest, that's Alexander the Great period, I think. Is that right? I may have had that one wrong, but I know there's a few historical settings in here. Obviously, Changing the Lost I'm quite excited about because that's France during the height of Louis XIV, I believe. Yeah, this book's going to be really, really good, and it's got quite a few extra chapters added on thanks to Beast and thanks to other Kickstarters. So there is a lot in there, a lot. It was a very good Kickstarter. So
yeah, absolutely, definitely a lot of options. Matt, are you excited about playing werewolves in 1970s New York?
To be quite honest, I haven't played a werewolf game in a very long time. I'm interested to read what they have to say about it, though. I mean, they've mostly treated historical settings with a good amount of respect, particularly in the Onyx Path era. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the book.
All right, excellent. And also, another one that might be of interest to you, Matt, is of course Skin Changers in the Aztec Empire. That should be a pretty interesting one. Cool. All right, Chris, you want to talk about Requiem 2nd Edition a little bit?
What is there to say about it? It's I really do need to get back into Vampire the Requiem to start running that again. Obviously, we did a whole episode that reviewed it, but there's some really nice books on the list. So we've got Secrets of the Covenant, which is in the style of the best-selling clan book series. So I think the way to describe this is going to be a kind of a setting artifact book rather than like the old Covenant books, which were a lot more dry in tone and very more encyclopedic in the amount of information they gave. This one's going to be more like excerpts from certain writers within the setting and so forth, so actual characters. So an insider's look at the religions and political establishments of the dead. So it should look like, and this will be really interesting if some of the bits for the auto draft will do look like they've come out of like a PhD thesis, but it's on like strange alchemical, concoctions they've done. So that'll be kind of wicked.
Kind of like a Netchurch in character writing, like they used to do with the old vampire. Exactly,
that's what the clan books of Vampire Requiem are, and those are still really good, books to go to, even for 2nd edition Vampire, and the Covenant books. I mean, the thing is, I think this is the right to go with because the Covenants from 1st edition Vampire are excellent. They have a lot of information in them, but also a lot of those ideas now have had a lot of time to mature, and you can see that now in second edition Vampire. So the way they talk about like the Carthians really shows they're not just the really bland description they are in first edition Vampire. Okay, so the other book is 1,000 Years of Night. So this is a young vampire's life at the elders, the mouldering relics of countless bygone ages. But elders are more than that. They are canny beasts, vital and adaptable to survive where countless brethren and sisters fell to fire and sun. So background and systems for these unliving legends. So essentially, it's an elders book. I kind of type of thing for Vampire the Masquerade. I think back in the day we had a book that really did focus on elders.
Yep.
That was kind of like Gilded Cage, wasn't it? Which is a great book, can I just say, for Vampire the Masquerade. And then we've got Half Damned, which is our Ghouls book. So, well, it's not really quite. Well, it's Ghouls and so it's and Revenant. So it's second edition of Vampire the Masquerade Ghouls, which Ghouls was a really good book because that's where I got started with Darker Days, because that was me coming on to review that book. There were lots of good ideas in there. So it'll be interesting to see how those ideas have matured and evolved, and what new things have popped up.
Yeah, definitely. I think the previous book you just mentioned, 1,000 Years of Night, should be really interesting because the elders in Vampire the Requiem are really very mechanically different than those in Masquerade. So, there's not too much crossover with like old Masquerade books. There's definitely a lot of really cool new ideas that they can explore, especially with the Fog of Ages and the like. So
indeed,
I think that's going to be good.
So onwards, we've got new releases coming up for Werewolf the Forsaken Second Edition, which of course we reviewed only a few shows ago. We have so we've already got the book is out. The Idgum Chronicle Anthology, of course, is out. And then we get The Pack. So this is a book which is going to look at the pack within and without. So this is kind of like I think it's Werewolf the Forsaken's book called Territories, I think. A bit like that, and a bit like some of the other books in there. So it really does look at how different, I guess, how you can set up your pack to work in very different ways depending upon the background and culture that they come from, because of course werewolf packs depend upon like which tribes pack members are members of, which lodges they may well be have members from, and of course what areas of the world they're from, because werewolf society is not one big monoculture. So Matt, how do you think about what do you think that's going to should be a pretty good book? I think for Werewolf.
I think so. I'd like to see what they do with packs now in second edition compared to first edition, because they are going to be very different now particularly now that humans and wolf-blooded are a part of those packs.
Yes.
Just to see how those get integrated and in more detail, because that wasn't addressed too much in the book, probably just due to lack of page space.
Mm-hmm. And then the next book coming out will be Secrets of the Tribes, which is an in-depth look at the tribes of the Aratha, their customs, traditions, and their sacred prey. So maybe that should be like the Secrets of the Covenant. So that should be a in-game kind of setting of artifact book, which has things that look like they've been pulled from various werewolf journals and so forth, and give us a more in-character, in-setting opinions of werewolf culture and the tribes, and about how they hunt certain things. So again, that should be pretty good, because of course if you need information on the tribes, you can always go to previous books from first edition Werewolf, which is still quite valid. Though I guess this will be more useful considering that second edition Werewolf really kind of gave us better information on how to use the tribe oaths. And then of course that leads us up to Mage the Awakening second edition. which is not out yet. We have the Fallen World Anthology, which is out. And then we've got Signs of Sorcery, which explores the mysteries of supernal origin, the creations of mages and reclusive archmages, and tools by which they practice magic. So this, to me, reads like 2nd edition Sanctum and Sigil, plus with a little bit of Tome. What was it called? Was it called Tome, or was it called? No, that was Tome of the Watchtowers. But there was a mage book which focused on like magical rites and so forth. So again, I think the benefit we've got with these 2nd edition books is they've got all the information in 1st edition that they can boil down and really distill all the good bits out of, and that have benefited from all that time. And then we've got Tome of the Pentacle, which really looks at the formation of the Pentacle and how the orders work. So again, this is really kind of less like the Secrets of the Covenant and Secrets of the Tribe, and is really more about how the Diamond and the Free Council actually operate in the 20th century, which is good because, again, I think David Brookshaw has really evolved his perspective on how these groups are used in Mage. So they are allowed to be a bit more globe-trotting, and he's got more of a view on how to balance the idea between the orders, your cabal, and the local concilium. So where the power balance and the politics lies there. So that should be a good book.
Yep, definitely. And moving on, we of course have Promethean the Created. And it seems like finally we're going to get Promethean the Created 2nd edition, which is being developed by Matt McFarland, who's a pretty big fan of that game. And going through, it seems like they're really looking at revising and simplifying the rules for Disquiet and the Wasteland, which are some pretty harsh effects on the Promethean condition that can really, with 1st edition, sort of derail your game sometimes. So it would be good to take another look at those and kind of revise them to, still highlight the harshness of a Promethean's existence, but allow the game to flow still without having anything too jarring happen. And in addition to that, the kind of complex pilgrimage system that was included in 1st edition is going to be reworked and to make it a lot more collaboratory and help the player kind of define the story that they want to tell with their character, and therefore give the storyteller a lot of good ideas for the entire chronicle itself.
Interestingly, 2 new lineages will be added. So again, I think that's the case that because early on with New Order Darkness, they always had the 5x5 thing going on, and why do we even need to have 5x5? So I think they're just seeing this as a chance for Promethean to kind of break out of that. So it'll be interesting what they are. I have no idea what the Unfleshed or the Extempore will be, but they sound kind of cool.
I think the Unfleshed are mentioned in some of the source books for Promethean as being created from inanimate objects, but I would have to go back and check.
Okay.
But the Extempore are completely new, and I've not heard of them before. Nice. Yep, and moving on, we of course have Changeling the Lost, which will also be getting a 2nd edition. Should be cool. And I believe David Hill is again the developer for that one. He's been posting some stuff on the Onyx Path website if you're curious about some of the improvements that he's making, as well as some ideas that might be included in the Huntsman Chronicle, which will be part of that book. And
I really need to catch up on those blog posts, but I can see, it's quite. We've said this before. Changeling the Lost will benefit a lot. That its pledge system mostly will be, I hope, will be simplified because it was long-winded, and was really the one thing holding it back because it seemed such an important part of the setting, but was very drawn out. I think the conditions system of 2nd edition should really simplify that.
Yeah, precisely. I was just considering that as well. If there was just like a couple of forms that pledges could take, and maybe you would define some of the parameters of those pledges. But it would be really easy to just toss out condition cards to mark those and just kind of keep it in mind for people. Yep, could be good. And then, of course, we have Hunter the Vigil, which will also be getting a second edition. And for that one, it's going to be the Slasher Chronicle.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, should be good. But I'm not sure who the developer is for that one. I have to go check around. I know Matt McElroy was doing a lot of work for Hunter the Vigil before, so it could be him, but I cannot confirm that. And following that up, we've got a number of game lines that do not seem to be getting anything new. It does not look like Demon the Descent, Geist the Sin Eaters, or Mummy the Curse will be getting any new books in the immediate future, which is fine. Those ones, Demon has gotten a bunch of books recently. Geist has always been kind of that one-book game, so it seems like they're going to be kind of keeping with that for now until the second edition comes out. And then Mummy the Curse just was always supposed to be kind of a limited line, and I think all the books are out now that the Avarice Chronicle has been released. Cool, and then we get to the classic World of Darkness. And coming up, looks like there's going to be Lore of the Clans, which is, actually there was just a Kickstarter for that one, which has a lot of new information for the different clans. It's almost as though it's going to be all 13 clan books kind of put into one source book, which should be pretty cool. And it seems like there was great response for that one, and a lot of people are pretty psyched. And in addition to that, there is the book that I am super psyched about, Guide to the Tal Mahara, the True Black Hand of the Vampire the Masquerade universe. Those being a sect of vampires that they think that they're controlling everything, basically, from their shadowy base in the Shadowlands. But are they really? Who knows? And they're a bit of a Gehenna cult themselves. So that should be a good one. And I believe Mr. Eddie Webb is developing that, so should be pretty good. And then, of course, there's another announcement, a big announcement, which is not included here in this brochure. And that is that there's going to be a new edition of Vampire the Masquerade 4th edition, which will be coming out soon. And we don't really have too many details about that. It was only released announced at one of the Onyx Path panels, but seems like it's going to be pretty cool, and I'm happy to hear about it. But there's been some pretty mixed response from people regarding it. I know on our own Facebook post, kind of spreading the information about this new edition, there was some people that were super negative, which was kind of ridiculous. Not really listeners of the show, but people that kind of saw it when others were sharing it. But I would just like to highlight that it doesn't seem like Onyx Path is just going to be putting out a new edition just to have something new out there. The V20 book is great, and it has all the information there consolidated. It has all the different bloodlines, all the different disciplines. It's very good for that, but it's not too much of a revision of the Vampire Revised system itself. So unlike W20 and Mage 20, it didn't really change that much. It didn't really venture too far from the roots. And there are definitely some systems that could be revised in Vampire the Masquerade or expanded. Maybe some improved storytelling systems could be put in. New things for hunting specifically, which has always just been kind of some vague dice rolls, which has never been super interesting for players or storytellers. So
because V20 really was setting out to deliver a very particular experience, which was a definitive Vampire the Masquerade revised edition with everything in there that you will ever need to play that kind of ultimate version of Vampire. But it's no surprise in doing that they've worked out how they feel they can actually now allow Vampire the Masquerade to live beyond that book and that work, and actually now become more of a living, breathing game line again.
Yeah, exactly. And I think my theory for what they're going to do with 4th edition is that, and this is again just kind of my ideas and theory and what I would expect to see. They're going to come out with a new core book, which is far, far slimmer than V20 is. It'll probably only have the core 13 clans, not all of the bloodlines or anything. And it'll just be significantly more accessible for people that want to check out Vampire for the first time. Because V20, with its 500 plus pages, is very overwhelming. And, I think it'd be good for a book to be out there that doesn't have as many of the optional systems. Like, let's get rid of merits and flaws. Seriously. And I'm reading right here that Lore of the Clans can have more merits and flaws. And, guys, we need to get rid of that system. It's terrible. And, just making it more accessible, I think, is really the way to go for a new edition. And just to kind of give people the core experience. And that'll also be easier to have the game table as well. But I think... yeah.
I was going to say, is Vampire the Masquerade 4th edition Onyx Path's Age of Sigmar moment?
Oh, I hope not.
Yeah.
Age of Sigmar is... We'll talk about that next episode, guys. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it right now. But, anyway. I think we're going to pose a question to Matt. Because I think a lot of people that are hearing about this 4th edition coming out are a little afraid that their 20th anniversary stuff is going to be invalidated somehow, which I would not expect to be the case. The system shouldn't change that much. The core system definitely not. But Matt, do you think they would release a Werewolf 4th edition? Do you anticipate that?
I am not entirely certain. Vampire has always been their flagship game line, and like I mentioned when we were doing the Werewolf 20 review, there are a lot of problems with Apocalypse that you can't really address without lopping them off, without just excising them from the game line entirely. Like the fact that roughly half the tribes are walking racial stereotypes, and like things that would not be in a book published today normally. And Werewolf 20th anniversary, they couldn't really, get rid of them because it's a celebration of what Werewolf was, and that was a part of Werewolf. But if they did a 4th edition, I would probably expect a lot of sweeping changes to the tribes in ways that would probably make a lot of people unhappy. So I'm not sure what they would do.
Interesting. Yeah, I would not expect that there would be significant changes to the clans in a Vampire 4th edition.
Like, the only real problem with the clans is the Giovanni, and that can be addressed without removing them entirely.
Yeah,
yes.
Giovanni was kind of addressed in, basically addressed in Vampire the Dark Ages 20th anniversary, so it wouldn't be too shocking to see the changes there reflected in Vampire the Masquerade 4th edition.
Indeed. And there has been some controversy over the Giovanni changes in Vampire the Dark Ages, including on our Google Plus community this past weekend. I think the core thing to remember is that, just to give some background, the Giovanni in Vampire Revised and previous were an Italian family, sort of a dynastic clan, which was rather incestuous and had many ties to the mafia, and had this specialty in necromancy. What Vampire the Dark Ages or V20 Dark Ages did was that it kind of took a new perspective on the Giovanni and focused on them being less incestuous, but still being this core dynastic family, but mostly focused on them breaking taboos of society, and that kind of being one of their primary drives. And the detractors of this kind of mention that that's sort of the purview of the followers of Set, But what they really focus on as the Setites is causing other peoples to break taboos or to go against their beliefs, and serving that sort of corruption or corrupter stereotype and archetype, as opposed to the Giovanni, who are really just doing it for themselves, and that's one of their kind of like core functions and things that differentiates them from the other clans. And
Plus,
in
there's the
addition,
name change.
that's basically negligible and unimportant. I'm not even gonna field that one. But the other thing is making them less incestuous. I mean, it makes them slightly less offensive, so that's something. It's not really a major change, I feel, and it's only kind of like the momentum of people, with how they previously viewed Giovanni, that it's kind of like holding on to that. I think for most games, it's really just a non-factor overall, so it's not a major thing. Anyway, is that it for Vampire? I think it is. Oh, yeah. What's up next? Vampire: The Dark Ages. So that had a Kickstarter a couple months back, and should be coming out pretty soon. We just kind of mentioned some of the major controversy surrounding that book. Overall, it's very good and very interesting. One of the design goals that they had with V20 Dark Ages was that they were going to try to make the game more inclusive, not so much in saying that horrible things to women didn't happen, but providing and encouraging more options for a variety of different ethnicities, cultures, and genders in the game itself. And there was definitely in my review of it, which I've not read the entire thing, I just looked at particular portions. It seemed like some of the writers did a really great job of that. Others kind of dropped the ball at some points. In particular regarding religion, I felt that was not really well covered in the book itself for that time period. But maybe we'll get some new source books in the future. It doesn't have any announcements here right now, but that could be something cool to see. All right, Matt, do you want to take over for W20 here?
Sure. Looks like there's Tri-Book White Howlers, which is available now, and I actually have a copy. Shattered Dreams, which is going in about the prehistory back when Garou still worked with the other shapeshifters before the War of Rage, and probably around the time of the Impergium, which should be interesting. Changing Ways, which looks to be something like a new werewolf player's guide, which goes into the werewolf pack mentality, the forms and senses of the Garou, and how they feel and interact with the spirits and their magic, which is something I am actually really interested in, because they touched upon that in Player's Guide to the Garou shortly before Werewolf the Apocalypse closed down, and they did a lot of good work with that as well. And one thing I don't see mentioned here is Tri-Book Bunyip, which is also coming out.
Oh, geez. Okay. Onyx Path tricked us again. And this happened to us last time we did this episode. There's actually even more books, which are after these one-page spreads right here. So we'll get to those in a minute, but we'll keep going through kind of blow by blow here. But yeah, there's a couple other World of Darkness books coming up that we haven't mentioned.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So, for Mage Ascension, we've got, because obviously that had its 20th anniversary Kickstarter, and that's, have people got their physical books now? Yeah, they have.
Nope.
Believe so.
Yeah, I've lost track on that one. So we've got How Do You Do That, which is an illustrated game system overview of common magics and the rules for running them successfully. For Mage Ascension, that's pretty essential, I think, because it can at times be quite difficult to work out exactly what you're doing, or do it in a way that's fair. and so you're not just trying to blag the storyteller all the time that you can do something when you really shouldn't. Gods, monsters, and other familiar strangers. So this is essentially a bygones, and it's a grab bag of all kind of supernatural creatures. I'm trying to think of the equivalent book we used to have for Mage the Ascension. What was it called? Was it just called Bygones? Perhaps. Anyway.
Yeah. Bygone Beastry.
That's the one. And then we've got Book of Secrets, which is a big book of... it's a player's handbook. It's just got a big book of traits and other options for your characters and extra rules. So, those are all typical add-ons for Mage the Ascension, and, should be very useful for people that want to run Mage the Ascension 20th anniversary for players that may have not played Mage before, because how do you do that, and Book of Secrets will be quite useful.
Indeed.
And then moving on, we're on to Race the Oblivion, 20th anniversary. Mike, what do you want to say about that?
We already covered this pretty thoroughly on the show when the Kickstarter was out almost a year ago. So that book should be out fairly soon. The only thing I noticed here that I don't think we mentioned was that this WR20 will have the complete rules for playing Spectres and the Risen, which those systems aren't too complex, but it's good to see that they're including it in the core rules with an update for the new Wraith 20th rules. And going on from there, Changeling the Dreaming 20th Anniversary Edition. It's finally happening, and I can already hear Adrian Stagg of the Midnight Express podcast jumping for joy over there in Australia. So, not too much information here yet. It's going to have some updated rules. It's going to have the core kits from the core books, as well as some from the supplements, including the Selkies, Pixies, and some others. And rules for the Gallane, which I can't even remember what those guys are, but they're there for the rules. And an update to the system and settings, so should be good. Moving on from there, Exalted. Okay, we're just going to skip that.
Exalted 3rd Edition is well overdue, but hopefully will fix combat completely. Right, Mike?
They have a Herculean task ahead of them. And moving on from Exalted, Scarred Lands is of course coming back. That's a sort of a co-project between both Onyx Path and Nocturnal Media, which is Stuart Wick's gaming company. Stuart being one of the original founders of White Wolf Games. Pugmire is Eddie Webb's cool fantasy game about dogs. They're doing some work on that. Trinity Continuum, of course, Ian Watson is the core developer for that one. Scion, I don't know who's working on Scion. Is that I don't know who's the developer for that. Cavaliers of Mars, another game. Jess Heinig.
I can't remember. I remember reading some stuff about it and how that they were working to address the issues with the portrayals of the gods in the 1st edition, which I'm hopeful for.
All right, that should be good. Nice. Of course, Cavaliers of Mars is Rose Bailey's sort of swashbuckling Martian romantic adventures in the vein of Edgar Rice Burroughs, so that should be good. And then finally we get to all the other releases that are in the back of the book. So, my mistake, I completely forgot about this issue from last time we did this episode. But yeah, there's actually some more books coming up. So, stay in your seats, guys, because we got a little bit more here. Coming out pretty soon is The Prince's Judgment for Vampire the Masquerade. It's a... what? Okay, I'm just gonna read the description. So we have The Prince's Judgment coming up for Vampire the Masquerade. It's an entry-level, simplified version of Vampire. The book will contain everything players need for an evening of casual gaming set in a vampiric prince's council as they try and determine who is the Sabbat infiltrator and traitor. It's got 80 pages and cards for play. So, okay, it's the Prince's Gambit, just with a new name. That Justin Achilles has been working on. So, should be cool.
Yeah.
Nice. And then coming up after that is Endless Ages fiction anthology for Vampire the Masquerade. So it's got new stories and old ones, and should be a pretty good time.
We can skip the next one because that's for Exalted.
Correct.
Then we've got Digital Web 3.0, which, the Essential War carries on in a time where now everyone has iPads and smartphones and stuff. So that should be kind of interesting considering the technology from Digital Web 2.0 to now is significant. So it should be interesting, that one.
Yeah, this is the book that we kept telling Matt McFarland we were so excited about, and then he was just like, "I'm not working on it, guys. I mean, thanks. It seems cool, but I'm not doing anything with that." And then after that, Hunter the Vigil, second edition anthology. I'm guessing they're going to call it the Slasher Chronicles or something like that. And
the Slash Chronicles would be the wrong name for it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it'll be the Slasher Chronicles.
Nice.
Yeah.
So that's going to be coming out for some more short fiction options. Night Horror's Conquering Heroes. This is an antagonist book for Beast the Primordial, featuring heroes as well as beasts that have undergone their inheritance and have become the lurking monsters or terrifying supernatural forces to be reckoned with. So that's some... yeah.
We can skip the next one, and the next one, I really like the look of this one, Ghost Hunters, which is a book which is basically your, I would say, is a splat book for New World of Darkness core, which is actually, it doesn't actually say whether it's for New World of Darkness or Classic World of Darkness. I guess it's going to be New World of Darkness. I'm going to say for now, because even if it was for Classic World of Darkness, either way, it's a cool book idea. Basically, it's a splat book for playing mortal Ghost Hunters, which. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. That's great. I mean, to play such a very mundane style World of Darkness game is wicked. Because I do have plans to run my Hannibal the Vigil, so that's like, you're playing Hunters or you're playing the equivalent of Vascu going after slashers like Hannibal Lecter. So low level, yeah, that's cool. That's fun.
Chris, just to jump in there, I've always wanted to have an episode of Darker Days where we actually got some ghost hunters on here and got to talk to them a little bit about their methodologies and trying to.
I don't think we're ever going to get the guys from Ghost Adventures on. I mean, is that bad?
Probably not. No. We'd be getting the D team or something like that. But if any listeners out there know any ghost hunters, just let us know and we'll try to set something up for a future episode.
Have you guys ever watched something? It's a UK ghost hunting show called Most Haunted. It's terrible.
Negative.
You have to
I've
watch
heard of
it. Watch it. It's hilarious. It's hilarious because they just scream all the time. It's pathetic, really, but funny. Next up, we've talked about that already. We've talked about that one, but do you want to say some more on it, Matt? W20 Bunyip Tribe book.
I am worried about that book. I mean, they weren't treated all that well in Werewolf Apocalypse, and I don't mean the fact that they were all murdered. I mean, they weren't written very well in Rage Across Australia, and they weren't given much page space in 20th Anniversary. So I'm pensive. I hope they can fix it, but there's still a tribe that was created so that they can die, more or less.
Yeah. Okay. Next up then is The Hedge, which is a setting book. Well, it's an add-on book called Changing the Lost Second Edition. Okay. Let's just sum this up out of what previous books it will cover. Then it's more than likely going to take content from Autumn Nightmares, because that's hobgoblins and entities that live in the hedge. It will mostly take content from Rites of Spring, which has stuff you can do in the hedge, like making your what are they called hollows, and stuff to do with like particular magic that works in the hedge. And it will most probably take other bits from stuff like Equinox Road and so forth that are all to do with Hedge. So I imagine it's just going to pull a lot of ideas and content from the previous books and put it into one book, which makes more sense when having it all together in one book. Yeah, so that's cool. And the next book, that's just the new type of Exalted. They're putting it into Exalted Third Edition, so we can skip that. And then we've got, what's this? Rich Bastard's Guide to Magic. I have no idea. This, Mike?
It looks like it's a book about lifestyles of the rich and magical. Like mages
pretty much.
who are also rich as hell.
Right, well that sounds different. Fair enough. What's the next one after that then? Vampire the Requiem Guide to the Night. So this includes tier 3 advice for say. Okay, right. So this is your global conspiracy level Vampire the Requiem guidebook, and how to run characters and chronicles at that level of gameplay, which is no bad thing because the covenants can range in their level of power, whether they're very local and that the Carthians in say London are not the same as the Carthians in Paris and the Carthians in Berlin, but there are certain covenants that do operate at a more global level. So perhaps that's quite good. That'll be an interesting book, and it'll introduce maybe some new covenants to use. So that's no bad thing. Yeah, we already said Hunt of the Vigil, 2nd edition, yada yada yada, Slasher Chronicle, yay, fun, and a Jumpstart Adventure. So that's going to be something like the Avarice Chronicles for Mummy. So that should be fun because pre-generated characters and so forth. Another book, Altered, don't care. And then, of course, we get to Deviant, the Triple Threat. No, Deviant, the Triple Question Mark. So, yeah. Mike?
Well, I mean, first off, we have to mention that I believe it was Eric Crabtree that sent us Deviant as his guess for last year's
Yes.
World of Darkness game contest entry. So great work, only off by a year. So that's pretty cool that he guessed that previously. I think we should just kind of go through and we're going to read the description and just kind of put our thoughts out there on this new game. So it's a Deviant, the Triple Question Mark. You woke up different. Someone changed you on a slab, an operating table, or an altar. By luck or by fate, you escaped. Hunted by the ones who made you, they hold all the cards. Except one thing. What they don't know is that a fire burns within you because what they did wasn't right. What they don't know is that you're hunting them. Deviant the Triple Question Mark presents a game where the victims of experiments band together to bring down the monolithic organizations that twisted and warped them.
It has a hint of the X-Files to it, with, people being taken and changed. So, the whole abductee kind of thing, which has similarities to Changeling, because of course you've got the Wizard, that kind of a bit like that. It has some similarities, I guess, to Promethean in the sense, that you've got these global corporations. Like someone could have changed you. Yeah, I mean, this is one of the things, right? I think you'll find. I think it's fair to say that you should never be surprised when a New World of Darkness game comes out that has. And find that it has certain similarities to other games in New World of Darkness, because quite clearly, On Its Path Publishing realizes that some people may go, I like the idea of playing abductees, but I don't want to play the game where that makes the most sense, which is perhaps at that moment, we'll say, Changeling the Lost. And if this presents a new way of playing that concept, but without being Fae and being changed and being one of the changelings that way, then fine. It's just another form of abductee style story that you can run. But it also covers other things because clearly it's not just abductees. It's there's operating tables, slabs, an altar. So it depends what type of how you've been changed. But clearly, alien abductees falls into this kind of this theme. So that's cool. There's no problem with that. Should be different.
I don't have actually much to say on this one. Could be cool. I mean, it gives you that sort of Shadowrun feel in a lot of ways. How you're going to be sort of evading the large corporations and trying to take them out a little bit. Could be interesting. I'll be curious to see how the mechanics work, because it seems as though it would be very easy to have all these different splats and the way that these deviants were created, kind of running off in different directions. So it'll be interesting to see how they unify them to kind of help both from a story standpoint and from a power and mechanical standpoint. Bring it all together to be kind of one uniform type of splat.
Mm. So yeah, that's different.
Yeah.
And then that's it. That is it. That is everything on the list. Other than there are tons of new T-shirts out to buy. I should really order one at some point. Overall, I think it's I think that's more stuff on the list of releases for next year, for this coming year, than the year before. It's clear that the success of New Order Darkness is now into its is going through all its second editions. It's benefiting from 10 years worth of content that it's created. Kickstarter has clearly allowed Classic World of Darkness to be not only deliver a kind of definitive celebration editions, but also shown that there is a market for updated editions. So now the idea of 4th edition is something. Onyx Path is clearly growing and adapting and changing quicker than, say, other companies, because they're making use of print on demand. I think their next step will quite clearly be trying to get some of these books into local gaming stores.
Indeed. Yeah, that's been a challenge for them for quite some time. They did get books into game stores back in 2010 or so through Drive-Thru RPG. But the problem was that they were getting some fairly obscure source books into stores, like some minor Vampire the Requiem books, like Testament of Longinus and Invite Only. Instead of getting core books into stores and the things that really sell. So I think that kind of shot them in the foot in that regard. But yeah, we'll see what happens in the future. So I think kind of as a closing remark, what book is everyone most excited about in the upcoming schedule? I mean, for me, it's pretty obvious. It's Guide to the Talmahera. I mean, I've been waiting for this book for 15 years or something, guys. Let's get to it. But Matt, what are you most excited about in this whole release schedule?
Hang on. I am looking forward to Dark Eras. The pack looks interesting. The new book for Werewolf the Forsaken 2nd edition. I mean, mainly the werewolf books. I am a creature of habit. I'm sorry.
Nope, that's fine. Understood.
Scion's 2nd edition, though, I'm pensive about. I do want it to be good, because I really did like the conceptually Scion, but it had problems.
Yeah. I am looking forward to Changeling the Lost 2nd edition, because Changeling is the creepiest game in World of Darkness. In New World of Darkness, I think it tops them all. The pack, I think, for Werewolf is going to be good, for Werewolf the Forsaken. And of course, I do love Exalted, and I really hope 3rd edition really fixes the combat system, because I really do want to run it, because I've got a Chronicle ready to run, and it just needs a system that doesn't make me want to flip the table. So there's some good stuff coming up. Of course, actually, no, let's be fair. I think Mage the Awakening 2nd edition looks like it's going to be fantastic, because Dave Brookshaw is the dude with how New World of Darkness metaphysics works, and I am still very keen, because obviously I've got a review. Next show, I'm doing that damned review for Book of the Deceived for Mummy the Cursed. I'd be really, really interested in how he fits the Mummy the Cursed metaphysics and mythology into Mage and everything else, because he seems to have a good handle on it all. And he did say he had an idea. I'm sure he said he did. So, and of course, we need to get him back on because he's solid. That's it for me.
All right, very good. So I think that's it with the schedule itself, and just kind of moving towards closing remarks. Of course, as a reminder, we do have our contest for a number of classic World of Darkness books, and all you have to do is send us an email saying what supernatural type do you think Matt is. I mean, do you think he's a werewolf? I mean, he seems to really like those. Or maybe he's one of those chupa... What are those things called?
Chupacabra.
Yeah, chupa thingy. And, just send us an email, tell us what he is, and we'll go through them next episode. So, of course, if you need to send us an email, send it over to darkerdaysradio@gmail.com. And, what else do we have, Chris?
We're on Google+. We are on Facebook. We do have a blog that I should do some more content for, because I've got some stuff I'm painting up. So you can see about... It's a good place where we dump the wargaming stuff, because, we talk about it too much here and it's pictures. So, but by all means, we will try and write some reviews for other roleplay books there at some point. What else do we have? We have a Tumblr, but I've hardly updated it in ages, so I'll have a look what's going on there and try and put some links up and everything. And we've got a Twitter, which is Darker Days Radio. And you should come to our Google+. We've got over 300 members there now, so it's a place for some conversation and for posting ideas for secret frequencies and so forth. I think that's it, other than our email address. Yep.
All right, good. And, I think that's it. So, good episode, guys. Thank you very much, as usual. And, we'll see you in a couple weeks.